This is a call to all healers. If you're a healer, a therapist, counselor, or coach, and you're finding yourself faced with clients that you know are stuck in childhood trauma, I'm looking forward to sharing this amazing new modality for quickly rehabilitating C-PTSD, PTSD, and dissociation. I know how frustrating it must be to see your clients battling with the same issues that they came in with. You're hearing the same stories week after week. You see the same behaviors and looping thoughts. Clients are turning to alternative methods such as plant medicines, Reiki, chiropractors, shamans, and psychics. They're searching for the missing pieces and trying to supplement and accelerate the process. I'm sure that if you're here, you've been certified in a multitude of modalities looking for that thing. I know how badly you want to be the one with the answers and create a name for yourself as the one that got them unstuck. With this proven, all-encompassing system, you'll have the skills of a well-trained surgeon. A surgeon with the skills and knowledge to find the exact moment in time, to get in and get out with the least amount of discomfort and the shortest recoup time, and create measurable results for the patients. You will have the knowledge and a depth of understanding into the mastery of these quantum skills that create the quantum entanglement of PTSD, C-PTSD. You know, what's happening in our lives is more than just an idea or a mental process or a concept, right? There's doing in life. Now, dissociation, by definition, is the separation of one thing from another. That sounds more like a doing than an idea or a concept. But if that's true, what is separating? And what is it separating from? So listen, I'm sitting in my final psychiatric appointment, and I've been going there for 4 or 5 years. This was on the tail end of my 35 years in talk therapy. I had different modalities as well. But I come into the office that day, and he gets me seated, and we're quite comfortable with one another, and he looks at me and he says, "Why are you here?" And I said, "Well, Robert, I feel empty, separate, alone. I feel like I'm watching myself live. I feel like I can't fit in. I don't know how to be in a group." And he looks at me and he says, "Well, Cherie, here's what I see. You're not in there." Instantly, 2 questions boil through my body, right? First, what's not in here? And if part of me is not in here, where is the I that's not in here? Right? And he said, "I don't know." Now, he knew how practical I am in a very oddly magical psychic way, right? And I looked at him and I said, "This doesn't make sense." He said, "I know, and I don't know the answers, and I don't know how to help you any further, Cherie." I was dumbfounded. I had no idea what to say next. But I had a lot of respect for him and his depth of understanding on a level that I wasn't in here, right? Now, that question of where am I has taken me around the world and back. And, you know, most people are trying to figure out, who am I? Right? My question was, where am I? And so many of my clients feel the same way, like they're watching themselves live. Do you know that feeling? Dissociation. Separate, alone, empty, and afraid. Maybe it's because you really are. Maybe it's because they're really not in there. Right? Dissociation, the separation of one thing from another. In a very practical way, that is how many of my clients feel. Much of the time. Now, literally, and I'm not being facetious, this question has taken me around the world and back. And with privilege, I was able to sit with teachers such as Deepak Chopra and Mona Lisa Schultz with these questions. Teachers of the mystical arts, right? Shamans, the indigenous, the plants, the earth, and all of the certifications, right? All the energy certifications, the metaphysical certifications, all of that were brought in and were very important steps in understanding that separation in an out-of-the-box, practical way. Now, I was very honored and very blessed that Deepak Chopra took a special interest in me. And he was recognizing the capabilities, and he taught me to quantum jump. Now, what's the difference between quantum jumping and astral travel, right? Quantum jumping is a molecular, tactile shift through time and space. So that means if I spatially decided to quantum jump and be on stage with Deepak Chopra, right, my astral body could do that, and he could recognize that I was there. And yes, that happened. He was recognizing that I was unconsciously creating this action, which was causing a lot of chaos and a lot of distress in my body. So, on the heels of this experience, not just this experience, but this exercise and learning with Deepak Chopra, right, this led me to this very intimate astral travel class. And I was like, I need to understand this from other people's perspective. I need some intimate input on this action, right? So this led me to an astral travel class at Holos University. Now, Holos University was established by Carolyn Myss, right? So it's a very renowned group of people that have done a lot of research in these quantum actions. Now, I'm sitting in this class, and right, she's taking us on these experiences, and I have to say, like, it wasn't a different experience than my normal experiences, because I was used to being able to look down over things and see a multiple of rooms at the same time, or right. So the big shift for me and the game changer for myself and a lot of people was when she guided our astral bodies back in alignment with our physical bodies. Right? It was like a rehab or a reclaiming of this body. Now, we have to recognize that if a house is unattended for an extended period of time, it's going to start collapsing, as will our physical systems, right? So, as I began to look out of my eyeballs, I can't even remember before that being able to do that, but looking out of my eyeballs, being able to see the edges of things very clearly, being able to see what was in the room, the light, right? from that perspective of my internal eyeballs, right? It was a game changer, and dots started connecting. Your astral body is the energetic version of your physical body. So, in a real tangible way, right, we can project a hologram. As above, so below. They're always duplicating these things, right? Your astral body is the energetic version of your physical body. Now let's be clear. Even air has molecules. So just because you can't see it with your eyes does not make it any less real. We can't see the internet. We can't see electricity. We can't see air, right? We can't see the heat that's blowing out the vent. And that doesn't make it less real. It doesn't make that heat warm you any less. Which brings me to a cold that many of us have, right? Our feet are cold, our hands are cold. Go figure, right? Again, as above, so below. Whatever we have on this physical realm, there's an energetic duplicate. And we operate from a very infantile space when it comes to our energetic systems. Now, much of the understanding of these energetic systems goes all the way back to Buddha. And the government just recently has decided there might be something to all that, right? Very recently. Right? They've been doing research into the psychic abilities and quantum action since the 1980s. Now, for those people that have had childhood trauma, they call us, the traumatized, the naturals. Why is that? We had to have access to those abilities to survive. Right? We had to know what was going on in the next room. We had to be able to see above, right, our fear, to be able to create strategy for change. We had to be able to anticipate what was going on in the house so we might thwart that really bad event. Now let's be clear. Normal is nothing but average or below. And these people are highly sensitive empaths, most of which have been victims of child abuse. Now, right now, NASA is making comparisons between the chakra system and our DNA. Just think how long the chakra system has been around, right? And today, they're making sense of what was labeled our junk DNA just a few short years ago. They're comparing that junk DNA to our lower chakra system, our root chakra, our sacral chakra. Now, there was also a research project utilizing time travel to alter traumatic responses. Dissociation is an out-of-body experience. Everything cool in all the traditions require an out-of-body experience. Creating an out-of-body experience at will is a mastery level skill in all traditions but mental illness. A flashback is an unconscious quantum jump. Now let's think about that. That's an action that these folks are already doing. They already know how to do it. The fear around being able to do it can be eliminated in 2 minutes, right? Close your eyes, let's go. They can do it. A flashback is an unconscious quantum jump. Now, Einstein, let's be clear, he didn't play in the normal, and he was not accepted, and it's just now a lot of his stuff being proven as true, right? Einstein claimed with a force strong enough, one could fold time back in upon itself, creating a loop. In this process that they were creating and testing around quantum jumping and time travel and our traumatic responses, they created a program called the Gateway Experience. A few years ago, one of my clients who had walked out of alternate personality disorder sent me an article with the white papers. And she was like, "Cherie, this sounds like quantum, except for the end." And as I was diving through it, I was like, yeah, I didn't invent this, but it had to come in again for the world to change, for PTSD and karma to be obliterated. My first near-death experience happened when I was 6 months old. I very clearly remember the incident from above, as if I were in the corner of the room, watching my father from behind. I can see the crib. I can see the actions. And this memory haunted me for years, right? Over and over again I would ask, did this happen? And I was told no, until I was about 40. But the astounding part of this is I remember coming back into my body with the gasp of breath, as if I was deciding at that moment to live. The second time I was 9. I lived my life with the feeling of this giant hand around my neck every day. Always felt like I was choking. Felt like I couldn't breathe. There was no reason in any sort of physical way. So what was watching from the ceiling of that room? What came back in and brought my body back to life? Was it the part of me that was not in there? Everything is made of something, right? Rehabilitating dissociation is one of our foundational principles of quantum therapeutics and the quantum entanglement that creates C-PTSD and PTSD. That skill of being able to separate our astral body from our physical body is the initial action that created all of this. So if we created it, we can uncreate it. Now we must also acknowledge that not everyone that experiences trauma gets PTSD. But I find the ones that do are brilliant. These are the highly sensitive humans, the empaths, with unconscious mastery level skills. Now you're going to get a look into the crossover of these psychic abilities and spiritual abilities and the mental health, mental illness labels. It's amazing to see that and explore these, quote, labels through a new empowering lens. Now I find it important to insert here that the Humane Society was established to ensure the well-being of the animals on our planet in the 1800s. And the first Child Care Protection Acts were established in the 1980s. During this period of research around traumatic responses, about, they were doing research on the vets that came back, right? They were diving into that. So we also have to realize that C-PTSD is a relatively new thought. Through my 35 years of journey, PTSD was never mentioned. C-PTSD has just now risen, and it's still not in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Health Disorders. It's not in there. There's talk about it. It's on Google. So is it possible that we need to focus on this phenomenon that is C-PTSD and PTSD and dissociation in a whole new way? Now, I had 2 sisters come into my program about 2 months apart. And this is the sister at the very beginning of the program, which most of our trauma Our C-PTSD happens in those first 7 years. Right? Now they claim that the chakras develop in 7-year increments. And science says that most of our default programming is in place by the age of 7. Right? So as we're working through these tangles of childhood trauma, we're in these lower 2 chakras, which are up to around age 14. Now I see the chakra system differently than how it's normally depicted as these orbs that stand upright. I see them more flat and operating like a hydraulic system where they're spinning in sync. They need to be. Otherwise, the system is all out of whack, right? It's like your car being tuned, right? And through the center of the chakra system rises the Kundalini, right? Up through our corpus callosum, which the neuroscience is proving is our control room of all that we are on all levels of our being, right? And up through the crown chakra and connecting into the universal internet. Now, this is the sister that started about 2 months earlier than her. So she's towards the end of the program. And you can see the elevation up into that third eye chakra and the crown chakra. Right? So that activation that was rising through that chakra system is very visible. We have to recognize that continuing to give our clients coping and management tools is exhausting for you and it's exhausting for them, right? We can't live life coping and managing, right? That's like an alcoholic trying to strong arm not drinking as they're sitting in a bar, right? These are highly sensitive people that need to learn how to be highly sensitive people outside of their trauma. Right? And that doesn't happen with coping and managing, right, our symptoms. That's not living, right? I know the doctors used to say to me often, like they'd be, I don't know what you're complaining about. You function. You function quite well. And I'm like, would you be satisfied with functioning? Right? Functioning is not living. If your car is just functioning, you're going to want to go buy a new car that is dependable and reliable. You're not going to want one that's just going to eke by. And, really, healing should have an end. Or we're not healing, it's something else. Right? And in our mental health, that is one of our only avenues that I can recognize where there's just no end, right? If I go to the doctor and I have a virus, I can do things to be free of the virus. If I break my leg, I can go in and have surgery and they can repair my leg. Healing should not be a lifetime endeavor, or you're not healing. It's something else. So I like to look at this more as wholeness. Right? Because something can only be so whole. So when we're thinking about fragmenting, we have to think about the whole and think about what is fragmenting. That astral body, the molecular structure of that astral body is fragmenting. Can it be put back together? Absolutely. Now, clients are moving on to the next thing. They're frustrated too, right? They're doing the tarot, they're having psychic readings, they're utilizing plant medicine, right? And you know that. Yet, where can you find a program that's in depth, that reaches into the complexities of a 3-year-old maneuvering mom and dad and being the other woman? How can we look at the adults of these complex, lifelong situations and from a place of empowerment? And can we find a program that's actually positioned to empower these highly sensitive empaths? to empower them to be the high-level being that they came here to be. An empath is the highest of all beings. Like, we can truly walk through another man's shoes. We can think their thoughts. We can see through their eyes. We can energetically create balance for them with a thought. If we're not being burdened and seeing our abilities as a sacrifice. We became healers for a reason. And helping someone manage to exist is not why we got into this. How exhausting is that? You know, are you feeling overburdened? Are you feeling like life's a sacrifice? Are you burned out by sitting in that chair listening to those same stories? Tired from the inside out? I'm so excited that you're here. This project has been a while in the making, and I was ready to launch it right before COVID. And having this time to sit back with it, it's embedded, it's ready, and it's ready for me to hand to you. I'm so excited that you're here. I'm Cherie Doyen, and I truly get it. I've been on all sides of this conundrum, the healer side and the client side. I would like to set up 100% completely free call. Now, this is not a sales pitch call, right? The highest pressure that you're going to get at the end of this call is, does this sound like a fit for you? Right? Does this sound like something that you need and that will propel your clients forward? And you can simply say yes or no. The Heal the Healer program. Again, my passion. I sat across from so many healers and therapists throughout my journey that firstly didn't have the tools to address what was happening for me. And many didn't have the depth of trauma-informed education to reach me where I was. And I often left the office feeling demeaned and shamed, and felt guilty for being in the well so deep that this person couldn't even reach me with their bucket. Right? And if we're going to heal people, we need to be in integrity, we need to be in wholeness, and we need to be solvent enough to be present, completely present for them, without ourselves being in the middle of that. Now, I only offer this very unique opportunity to a select few people. I take about 10 new practitioners per month through the program because I invest so much time and so much energy into each one of these individuals gaining their personal balance and the depth of understanding of this program to be able to create successful change for the folks they plan to work with, or are already working with, or are already sitting in their chair. Right? Now, the best thing that's going to happen is that you're going to love the program, and you're going to be like, I am in. I am all in, because you know there has to be a way out. Right? So let's be clear, there's nothing for sale on this webinar. But if you stay till the end, I do have a free gift for you. Right? I have the free audio exercises packaged up beautifully for rehabilitating dissociation and balancing and becoming acquainted with our chakra system, our auric field, our astral body. Right? Now, these are completely free. I want nothing more for you to utilize them with yourself, understand what that feels like, and share it out with your clients tomorrow. Right? Now, how are we going to do this? Right? This evolutionary new modality, which I've coined quantum therapeutics, is a step-by-step process for creating unification between the fragments, the molecules trapped in the fragments, and the whole of the astral body, and unify it in 2023, today, right? And I'm going to teach you this process step by step. The Heal the Healer course, it's a hybrid. And again, it was designed from what I was witnessing as people were coming through the training alone, or they were coming through as clients alone. And the marriage of these two programs is the Heal the Healer. It's a top-down, bottom-up approach. We're going to be working through your traumatic experiences one-on-one. Right now, I'm going to be doing that personally. And in that, you're going to be able to firsthand experience the quantum therapeutics process. You're going to be able to experience how quickly firsthand it is to master that action of quantum jumping. And you're going to witness firsthand being taught and guided through that process. And from the bottom up, you're going to be going through the course. We're going to be meeting every week, right? We're going to be walking through the vernacular that is foundational as well for the quantum therapeutics system. I find so much of the time there is murkiness in how many of these words are being used and utilized. And again, in that very practical quantum way, we have created a way to be able to discuss that in a molecular, tangible way. Now you're going to be able to see through the eyes of a child, right, as they get up for breakfast, maneuvering mom and dad after a sexual encounter, right? We're going to be able to witness a child's processes and their tangible understanding of trying to remember as the amnesia would take control, right? We've got live case studies in there. We've got live demos. The handbook is very tangible. The content is designed for you to be successful. Now, on top of that, I meet with clients over Voxer in between our sessions and our group sessions for the program. We utilize an app called Voxer, which is a walkie-talkie app. So that means real time if things are happening, right? You're going on the walkie-talkie app and I can read through your voice and help you create tangible action right then and right there. So it's a very useful tool and saves a lot of time in the drag out of years of therapy. Now, in comparison, a lot of clients come in having done or are in the midst of EMDR, frustrating, feeling like they failed. EMDR claims to de-escalate a traumatic event in 3 to 12 sessions. And these are very difficult, very upsetting sessions. quantum therapeutics, we can de-escalate a person from a level 10 emotional response level to a level 2 in the span of an hour. And the client will be leaving laughing. They'll be leaving laughing. We have therapists that reach out and say, I had a client that I'd never seen her smile in 5 years, and she left her session laughing. Right? It is possible. It is possible to truly be through this and it not hurt. We don't have to keep cutting ourselves over and over and over and over again. Pretty soon the scar is bigger than the initial cut. Right? Now, in this 90 days, that's 3 months of your time. 3 months. Not only are you going to get the training, but you're going to get your personal healing as well. Now, this can spread like wildfire. Wholeness is contagious. Often when we can get one member in a family, it spreads through everybody without everybody having to go into therapy. Just like C-PTSD and PTSD is contagious. Just like alcoholism is contagious. We transfer that forward. Or we can choose to actively stop it today. And to sit on the other side of that chair and see that client that has been in such distress, right? And watch their tears turn to laughter. That changes the molecules of everything for you too. Now, you can continue on the way you've been operating, limping along possibly in your personal life, still struggling with those triggers and the flashbacks and the night terrors yourself. What? You'll be right here 10 years from now, stuck in the same ways. I was in therapy for 35 years. It should be a crime. And at the end of that 35 years, my body was dying. I was tired, alone, hopeless, and angry. An anger that I never knew again before in my life. I was so angry. And I felt more hopeless than ever. So you can see why taking this call is the single most important thing you can do right now. So click the button and book a call. Now, if you miss this, you can always come back to talktocherie.com, because I want you so desperately to discover a life that's filled with laughter, where you know how to play, where you can have fun, right? Where you're not being yanked back into the past, where you're witnessing active change happening for your clients as it's happening in your life too. And maybe you're both going to feel that for the very first time. Heal the Healers, an amazing collective of conscious healers. If this speaks to you, push the button and book a call. talktocherie.com.